Bonjour! Today let's have a look at the different verb groups that we have in French. Okay guys, now this lesson is a little bit more tricky than usual because I'm about to explain to you how the French conjugation works, okay? In order to do that, I've got to explain to you that in French we have 3 different verb groups, okay? Now, to start with, we've just to remember what a verb is, okay? A verb indicates an action, for example, to walk, marcher, or to eat, manger, or describe a state, a characteristic, etc., as in être, to be, sembler, to appear, okay? So we are very confident that we know what a verb is, aren't we? Right. Now, once you know what a verb is, I would like you to have a look at different verbs. And I would like you to tell me in English, not in French, whether these verbs are regular verbs or irregular verbs, okay? Do you think you can do that for me? Okay, let's have a look at this verb, walk, okay? Now let's have a look at this verb, sleep. Now let's have a look at dance. Now let's have a look at eat. So, to walk, to sleep, to dance, to eat. Here's my question. Which one of these verbs, okay, what are the verbs, because there are 2, that are regular verbs? Yeah, well, I can see 2. I can see walk, right? And I can see dance. So you're going to tell me, but why? Why is one verb regular and the other is not? Well, in English, and we are talking in English at the moment, not in French. In English, a regular verb is always conjugated the same way and follow the same pattern. For walk, when you want to put this into the past tense, you add ed. So it becomes a past tense. So I walk, I walked, ed. I dance, I danced, ed. Okay? I watch, I watched, ed. So by putting ed, suddenly the verb has become a past tense verb. Okay? You following me? Excellent. Now let's have a look at the other 2 verbs. So I have I sleep, or to sleep, and to eat. When I put them into their past tense, I can't add ed. I can't say I slept, and I can't say I eated. Okay? That's because they are irregular verbs. Okay? So what do? We learn them by heart, and we know, well, as a French person, I learn them by heart. As an English speaker, it comes naturally to you. So, to sleep become I slept, okay, PT. To eat becomes I ate, okay. To fight becomes I fought. To drink becomes I drank, okay. Do you see what happened? That in English you've got regular verbs and irregular verbs. Well, guess what? Exactly the same in French. We have 3 groups of verbs, okay? 2 of which are regular verbs, and the last one are highly irregular verbs, which I would invite you to learn by heart. So today's lesson is about understanding the 3 group verbs only, okay? Now, you might ask me, okay, or you might not, so why is it so important for me to know which group they belong to, those verbs? Well, it is very important, especially when you are going to conjugate them, where you are going to take them from this infinitive form, as in to watch, and conjugate them into their past tense. I watched. Knowing which group they belong to means that you will be able to put the correct stem to the word and the correct ending to the word. And they follow always the same pattern. For all the ER verb, which belongs to the first group verb, or IR verb, regular verb again, They follow the same pattern. By knowing that, you will have very little mistakes made actually when conjugating this verb. Okay, so let's have a look at the first group. The first group includes regular verbs ending in ER in their infinitive form. When I mean infinitive form, it means to watch, to dance, to, and so on. Okay, so it means that this verb has not yet been altered by a subject pronoun. Okay, so it is known as a regular verb. This is by far the group which contains the most verbs. So that's quite good news. Okay, which means that you're most likely to be able to have to conjugate a ER verb rather than a third group verb. Okay. So a few examples of ER verb could be tomber, to fall, chanter, to sing, marcher, to walk, regarder, to watch, écouter, to listen. All these verbs are ER verbs and therefore regular verbs. So when we are going to conjugate them, they will all follow the same pattern. The only thing I could say is that in the ER verb, the exception to the rule is aller, to go, A-L-L-E-R. Now, aller, although it ends in ER, actually belongs to the third group verb because it is irregular. When you're going to say I go, you do not say je alle, okay, you say je vais, tu vas, and so on. But that's another lesson completely. Okay, now we've seen the ER verb, but we touched on it a little bit. Let's have a look at the IR verb. Now, this belongs to the second group, okay, and they are regular verbs. So an example that comes up to my mind is the verb finir, which means to finish, okay? Finir. So again, verbs ending in IR, which belongs to the second group, always conjugates the same, always are conjugated the same way. Je finis, tu finis, il finit. But that's another lesson. Now you've got verbs such as choisir, to choose, as well belonging to the IR second group verb. Obéir, to obey, okay? Again, IR second group verb. So that means they will all be conjugated the same way. Finir, choisir, obéir, always conjugated the same way. What you have to understand, and this is where it becomes quite complicated, is that you have verbs ending in IR that belongs to the third group, not the second group, and therefore do not follow the same pattern as the second group, okay? So you're going to say, why, how do I know? Well, you don't really. And what you need to do is learn them by heart. But there is a little trick to it. And again, unless you're French, you might not know. You've got to follow your gut instinct here. What happens is that all the verbs in this second group in the present participle form have or end in ISANT, I-S-S-A-N-T. So again, I can hear you saying, but what is a present participle? A present participle ends in English in ing. So, for example, you could say, by finishing my homework tonight, I will be happy. For example, so by finishing. So when you say by finishing, ing, we call that a present participle, okay? In French, in IR verb, they all end with ISANT. I-S-S-A-N-T. So, finir, finissant. Choisir, choisissant. Obéir, obéissant. Okay, they all end in isant. So, therefore, we know they belong to the IR second group regular verb. Okay, group. Okay. Now you can have a look and you say, but what are the IR verb in the third group? Well, we have a lot of them, unfortunately, who do not follow the same, which do not follow the same pattern as the second group. For example, venir, to come, when it is put into this present participle, is not venissant, okay, doesn't exist, it's venant. Dormir, to sleep, is not dormissant but dormant. So these verbs belong to the highly irregular third group verb. And this is what I want to cover now. The irregular verb all end in RE or OIR. Okay, now let's have a look at it. It can end in IR too, by the way. So we've got verb ending in IR, such as sortir, dormir. Verb endings in OIR, such as savoir, vouloir, pouvoir. And verbs ending in RE, such as prendre, attendre, mettre, croire. Now what you've got to understand here is the third group verb, and the reason why we put them all into the same category here is that they are conjugated in a different fashion, okay? So the endings of the imperfects the same, the endings of the future, the conditional will be the same, the stem of it will be different. What I mean by stem, for example, you have voir, okay, to see. When you use this verb in the future tense, then you have to change the verb. It becomes verrait, verrait, okay, and not voirait. Boire as well, to drink, would become bu into his past participle. So they change drastically, okay? That's what you've got to understand. So you're going to ask me, maybe, I don't know, is there a pattern for the third group verb? Well, no is the answer to that, okay? There are some patterns, but most of the time there isn't. And that's where you have to set yourself a list of the irregular verb and look at what they look like in the past participle form. Prendre, which means to take, pris is the past participle. When I mean past participle, I mean taken. Yeah, I have taken. J'ai pris, okay? And we are talking about the verb prendre, to take here, okay? Vouloir becomes voulu, okay? Pouvoir, to be able to, becomes pu, okay? So that's another lesson completely. This lesson was purely to show you that we have 3 verb groups in French and that you have to be aware of them, okay? What you could do is have a look at a list of French verbs and try to put them in the right category. Is it an IER verb? Is it an IR verb? Or is it all the rest, the third group verb, okay? Once you understand where they belong, then the conjugation of them will become much easier. But that's the next lesson, so let's not cover that. You have a support guide available to this lesson on learnfrenchwithalexa.com, and I will advise you to download it because it's really, really useful. Well, that's it for me. Remember to subscribe to YouTube on my YouTube channel, Learn French with Alexa, and I shall see you super soon. Leave a comment. Bye.